So the question is, am I a thermostat or am I a thermometer? You know when Jesus said, if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth? What's lukewarm? It's the temperature of the room. It means whatever the room is, that's what I am. I don't have an ecosystem. I just suck off of everyone else's. I'm a chameleon Christian. I don't have a fire of my own. I just am the temperature of what everyone else is. I'm a thermometer. But how many know if I'm a thermostat, I come in the room and people are like, oh, this room, Bill talks about a lot. This place, this city's so dark. We have bigger demons than in most cities. It's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm an open heaven. And what did I do? I just said, no, I determine the temperature in the room. I have an ecosystem. I'm not just a hot boiling pot put into a refrigerator. I'm actually got an ecosystem with it. You know what I'm saying? When we were starting the school ministry, the first 2 or 3 years, we'd have a kind of common testimony. We'd have students who were some of our very brightest and best students, people who really great students. And of course, in those days, we didn't have a lot of students. We didn't have thousands of students. So it was a lot easier to have, kind of keep an eye on who's going and who's coming and how they're doing. And I remember a pretty common testimony. Sometimes our students would leave just on fire for God. And I'd meet them 2 years later, a year later, in some place we were ministering, and they'd be like, disappointed, discouraged, And I'm like, and I'm not talking about our students who didn't do well. I'm talking about our students who were doing well in school. And I began to think about that, and I began to think about it like this. The world's like a refrigerator, isn't it? Like the world has an ecosystem. Ephesians 2 says that the people who don't know God, they're under the spirit of the power of the air that's now working in the sons of disobedience. It's not just about their free will. It's also about the spirit that is actually working in them. Are you following me? And I looked at it like this, like we were taking these revivalists, they were like a boiling pot of tea, and we're boiling them, and we're sending them out into the world. But the world's like a refrigerator. How many know if I take a boiling pot of water and I put it in a refrigerator, is the refrigerator gonna get hot or is the water gonna get cold? We all know what's gonna happen, right? The water's gonna get cold, why? Because the refrigerator's plugged in and it has an ecosystem and the pot of water does not. Are you with me? But if I take the boiling pot of water and I put a burner under it, like let's say electric burner, and I plug it in and I put it in the refrigerator plugged in, how many know now I have 2 ecosystems in conflict? I have the refrigerator, which is trying to make it cold, and I have the boiling pot of water that's trying to make it hot, and how many understand that I have a conflict going on? Now, if I reach over and unplug the refrigerator, how many know that pretty soon the refrigerator is no longer going to be cold? It's going to be, if I leave it in there long enough, it's going to be the temperature of the pot, right? What I'm getting at is this. When we sent our students out, they didn't stay connected. They lived in our fire, but they didn't know how to make a fire. And they're excited, they have good attitudes, they're ready to go, they have faith, but they get out there and they're in an ecosystem, but they don't have an ecosystem. And we begin to realize there are things they need. Some of them are like, okay, learn how to build your own fire. And I remember Danny sharing in a leader's advance about learning how to build your own fire. But other things were like, they actually need to stay plugged in. Like we need to create some kind of place where they can stay plugged in with each other and with us so that the refrigerator has an ecosystem, but they have an ecosystem too. Romans chapter 12. Yes, we're going to use the Bible. Some of you were concerned. You'll know these verses well. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good, acceptable, and perfect. Don't be conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Don't be conformed. How many know? Don't be conformed by the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Don't be conformed to this world. How many know conformed? That's the refrigerator.